we churned and burned so many theories that, just didn't pan out. But, we were constantly working it. And he was just the greatest all around, the most wonderful guy to spend any time with. Like just the great, if you want to have dinner with somebody, he was the guy,
Or whiskey.
or whiskey. Oh yeah, no, we did that too. Had a crazy island where he hung out with his crazy brothers, with all these, and going back and forth to his house. His wife was fun. Um, just the greatest guy. And he really, I'm sorry to say, he probably, I mean, the stress and everything of the last 5 years minimum, more than that, really. Boy, we're 2026, 6 years. And he was just constantly in the red line,
Yeah.
constantly in the red line. Like, I'd be like, dude, how are you going to that? Like, did you just come back from here? I'm like, I mean, the guy was a phenom.
He was.
Yeah.
He was so easy to talk to, not just on business and case level, but I could call him when I'm having one of my many emotional breakdowns, as Brad knows. And I remember one time he just so calmly said, and I was going through my Facebook and I posted what I quoted him on my Facebook. It was November 6th, 2023. And he said, Carolyn, life is not about comfort. It's about sacrificing for others. Sacrificing isn't fun, but in your heart, you're doing the right thing. And I remember him saying that to me, and it just totally got me out of my complete mental breakdown.
No pity party, right?
Yeah. Brad and I started interviewing victims early 2021. And every day I'd spend all day just trying to find attorneys. And how many attorneys are there in this country? And it was just slam, PrEP Act, COVID, nope. And then Warner drops, from heaven, literally in our lap. And we just became really good friends. And I remember going to Beaumont to watch him in action at Brooks' case. And we all went to Cajun food afterwards and just sitting outside of events and around fireplaces having drinks. And he was just, I'm going to break down crying again. Wonderful person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was able to dig up this quote, and you guys, when I asked you kind of what keeps you going as attorneys, as clients, plaintiffs, just average everyday people, this is what Warner said. And I'm sorry, I wrote it down because I didn't want to mess it up because it's Warner. But on what keeps you going, he says, and I quote, I don't keep going because I believe in the system. I keep going because I believe in the people watching this fight, parents, patients, professionals. So many of us are waking up and asking the hard questions, and that's where the real change starts, end quote. So that's just, that was Warner,
You know what I love about all of that in these words is his thirst for life. Right, people go through life, and I don't know if you saw in the very beginning, we run a little piece from Charlie Kirk, and who said it also. People are afraid to live.
Yes,
man. And Brad, when you said he was redline all the time, yeah, because he was drinking down every last second, every last experience available to him. He lived 10 lives for what most people live in one. And I find that to be extraordinarily inspiring. I really do. That it puts me to shame in some respects because I could do more based on what that guy did. I can't. How he was able to do as much litigation all at the same time as he did blows my mind, because people that don't know, litigation's intensive. Brad, you're probably the best suited here because you have as many cases as he did. I don't know how you do it, but his red line is a great example. It's that thirst for life that I find so inspiring. Thank you for asking that question, Brooke.
Yeah, and that's why I loved, his idea. I'm sure there were more people involved in this kind of idea that he had, but with Freedom Council, what a great idea to have, a central place for the attorneys to go to, share your experiences, share your briefs, what's working, what's not working. And when he shared this vision with me, I thought, wow, like that's pretty amazing. And hopefully Freedom Council, I'm not certain of everything that's going on right now, but hopefully that continues and it grows, and we're able to get more victories. I mean, it's not like these cases are meritless, that are being brought. It's really you're up against.
Well, they're so meritorious that we can't get our day in court. Jamie, I don't know how many, remdesivir cases you're just a Goliath in this, along with your colleagues, including Brad and Cece and everybody else. It's not an issue as to whether they're meritorious. It's whether the murderer is going to hold themselves accountable. That's the paradigm.
And how can we expect that?
Yeah.
I think we can learn a lot from Warner, and all we talked about here today. He was so inspirational. He would talk to anybody and everybody and give you his full attention. So it didn't matter who it was. It could be somebody sitting on the side of the street. If somebody had an idea, he'd look at you and he'd talk to you and he'd listen to you. And I'd be walking around the supermarket sometimes talking to him on the phone, brainstorming an idea about a case. And he just, like Brad said, at 11 o'clock at night, 2 in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, didn't matter. He was ready to go. And I remember that event you were talking about, Dr. Nanda, where you were very, very funny. And we had this whole panel up on stage. I think it was in one of the pictures. And I was right next to Warner. And I was like, thank God I'm going before him, because I can't go after this guy. First of all, because he talks. But also because what he says, everyone sits there and every word, and they cannot wait to hear what he has to say. But you know what? He was amazing, because after I spoke, he actually brought in something I had said, because he wanted to give me that pat on the back, not just take attention for himself. Amazing.
Yeah, that was at Halt Hospital Homicide 2, and he wanted to be at Halt Hospital Homicide 1, but it was the exact same day as he was having a huge attorney event. So what he did was like, I want to be zoomed in. So we zoomed him in at the end, and so we had a room of 550 victims, and then a room remotely of hundreds of attorneys, and all brought together because of his idea. It was incredible.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah.
He described his luring style as he compared it to playing soccer. He was a soccer player forever. He had his old man's league.
Wow.
He wasn't the player that was always interested in scoring the goal. He was a passer, right? He would pass the ball, defend it, whatever. So that's a way that he described the way that he
does luring. That makes sense. He has the team. He passes and he's like, okay, what do you think this idea? What do you think that idea? And then he brings it all together. That's wow. Nice.
He did that once. He just been good. Like, I think it was in like 3 states in 2 days or something. And he had a big deposition to take the next day. And he was just exhausted and he had a headache, but he wanted to know, what did the victims want to know? Because he was, going to depose this pretty high up guy. And so he called me, and I'm like, well, I'll ask the group. I'm on Stop the Shots, a community of 5,000, vax injured people. What do we want to know? And I stayed up all night long with 2 other people. And I said, just get some rest. And we're going to come up with some questions and things that, we want to know, the people want to know. And by the time I pulled an all-nighter, by the time he woke up, I'd sent him 19 pages of questions.
Wow.
And he was like, you saved my ass.
Wow. Cool, Cece.
And I'm
Nicely done.
So then I stayed up the rest of the day, because I was like, give me a play-by-play every time, and it was pretty.
What's happening now? What's going on
He
here?
involved the victims. He involved the people, and it meant a lot to them.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny you say that, because I'm looking at Brooke thinking that you were a plaintiff, but you were actually
I still
working
am.
like Cece is. What I'm trying to say is you weren't just that. You were so actively involved, not just in this, in a lot of other cases like Cece. I mean, you got incorporated into the process more than just, airing your grievances. You were seeking accountability in a very real way, not sitting back. That's what I love about all of you. I'm honored to be amongst you, because every one of you, we could be saying a lot of the same things. So I really admire that. And I think Warner was very inspirational, but I find all of you just to be the same.
Well, today, just to let you know, Todd, after I leave this, I've got a few patients to see, but this afternoon, I have to give testimony to the Republican Party of Texas for legislative priorities to ban the mRNA shot.
Nice.
So that's what I'll do.
Nice. Yeah, you get the clap for that. Not a golf clap, a real one. Yeah, good
Yeah,
job.
that's today. So I've got a lot on my plate
Wow.
today.
Good
So
luck.
Well, thank you for taking the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, Texas
Yeah.
politics is something else.
I
Bless you.
would love to hear, John. You always have such an interesting perspective on things, and you make me laugh. I think half the time because I'm shocked at what comes out of your mouth. I'm curious if you have any wonderful
idea.
anecdotal
keep it
stories.
G-rated, John. Keep it G-rated. Okay?
No, we don't care. Say whatever you say is the best part. Of that. But if you have any wonderful anecdotal, stories about Warner that that would be entertaining, I would love that.
There was when he found out that he was sick, he called me. It was a couple of days before Christmas, and he's in the hospital, and he's like, "Yeah, it's bad. They found a tumor," and he goes, "John, none of us are getting out of here alive." I said, "Yeah, none of you are."
None of you are.
You are.
See, there you go. There's the John right there.
And he even approached the cancer in a very matter-of-fact way. He's like, "I'm going to throw everything at it from both sides of the equation." So we don't talk about the alternative stuff, but he was definitely involved in a lot of that too.
Yeah.
Even once he got sick, he started using Graith Care, which is a patient advocacy service, and they were really, really helpful to him. And he wanted to make sure we did a show with them to highlight that service and to remind people, like, hey, you don't just have to take exactly what the oncologist or the doctors say. You can also get second opinions, and they will help you. And even throughout his illness, he still wanted to do the show. He still wanted to fight the cases. Even when he couldn't really even walk that well, he was still on the phone. He was calling people. He still had the energy of spirit, even though his body was failing. And he loved his whiskey. He would call you from the porch with Kelly, and he would be having some nicotine and a bottle of whiskey, and of course, then you'd have to join him. So by the end, we're all crap faced.
Rick and I remember.
And it's just the funny thing is, I said this to Jeremy Friedman yesterday. I was like, "Do you want to call Warner and talk to him about his demise?" like I want to be like, "Warner, you won't believe what we've been going through. You died. Oh my gosh, it's been crazy." And I just keep expecting the phone to ring, and I'm like saving this conversation with him. I'm going to tell him all about this because he needs to hear about it. But I know that call's not coming, and I'm sad about it. But
I wanted to say this also, John, because you made mention just a second ago, as it relates to we're all going to die. He's in the hospital. Dr. Nanda, correct me if I'm wrong, but as I understand it, he didn't die of cancer. He died of medical malpractice. He died of a hospital homicide. Do I have that wrong?
I can weigh in on this because I got more details on it yesterday because I was. As soon as the doctors heard what it was, everybody's like livid. Like, how dare they not do paracentesis with that ultrasound or whatever else? But that's not exactly the case. The way it worked was Wednesday he had a draw done, and he specifically chose a doctor who was a little more aggressive with it to get out as much as they could. But so just to summarize, ascites is when you have fluid buildup in between the layers of the stomach, or that surrounds the organs. And when patients have cancer, especially late stage cancer, this fills with fluid, and it needs to be basically drained. And it's not exactly easy process. It can cause death. My father died after he had a draw done. So it does have its risks. But apparently, when they did it on Wednesday, they nicked his bowels, and waste began to seep into his stomach. Thursday, he was feeling really bad. They wanted him to go in, but Warner, being a cowboy, was like, "Nah, I'm just going to stay here. I'm not going to go in. I don't want to deal with that." And by Friday night, it was emergency level, and that's so the situation is, he wanted aggressive treatment on it. It does happen. You don't want to. It gave my father relief. It gave Warner relief for 6 months when he do these draws. I mean, they're like pulling out like 5 liters of fluid. It was a tremendous amount, like 10 pounds. So he needed it done, and you don't want to frighten hospitals from providing this to patients, because the alternative would be untold suffering. And they did use ultrasound when they did the
Certainly.
draw. So yes, was it a mistake? Sure. Was it compounded by his reluctance to go in and get it checked earlier? Sure. He had been, especially in the last 6 weeks, in a lot of pain. He couldn't do shows anymore, and he was going through the brain fog and things like that. So just
Brain
like with my
fog?
brain fog, yeah. So just like with my dad, I initially I was very upset, and I thought, well, maybe there was something to it, and I researched it, but then I learned, okay, you know what, this is a reality of this treatment, and nothing is without risk. He knew that. He knew the risks going in. I mean, I talked to him about what happened with my dad, ironically, just a couple of days before it happened to him. The benefit of him going out while he still had his mind and his spirit is that he did not wither like my father-in-law did, all the way down to 85 pounds.
Wow.
And that was a horrific death, and I'm grateful that Warner was spared that. But to the other end, it does appear that the treatments were reducing the size of masses in him, but at the same time, it had also metastasized to other organs and things like that. So, he was in as soon as he found out he had cancer, he knew just how far gone it was. I mean, I saw him in Austin in November, late October, November, and I was I couldn't really even think about anything else. I was so shocked at his weight loss, and that's really all I wanted to talk to him about. Is like, what's going on? Because I just experienced both my father and father-in-law having cancer, so I was very aware that something wasn't right with him, and so a month and a half later, he finds out he has stage 4 cancer, and it's cancer is a horrible thing, and now we do know, and we're going to continue to pursue this, that these shots do suppress P53, and the NCI, National Cancer Institute, was covering it up. And I have a FOIA request that went out. I was the first one to ask for it, showing that the National Cancer Institute was suppressing studies in 2021, knowing that they didn't want people to know about it. And Aaron Siri has a lawsuit out against the National Cancer Institute for those records. They fully retracted 490 pages saying that they knew there was going to be risk. And it's not just the vaccine, it is the spike protein in both the vaccine and the disease. Now, I don't want to go too far into that, but the seed, like I said, the seeds Warner planted and helped grow are still there, and we're going to just have all this fruit from that effort that he was doing. And, maybe we'll find out that because he got COVID, I think right before the Shara trial, he'd had it like 3 times, if I'm not mistaken. So, to the original point, malpractice, more like a medical error, and with a lot of compounding issues to it. Because I was in that same place. I was like, hey guys, should we be investigating this? And it's not going to bring him back. And I don't know if he'd want to pursue that because he really appreciated that service that they were doing for him because it gave him so much relief.
Wow. Thank you for that. That's really helpful. I appreciate it.
And I have a patient that you're just saying he's had 8 COVID shots. Yeah, 8. And at least 4 or 5 times he's had COVID, and he's got a brain tumor that they just removed. So, I don't know how much longer he has or not. So,
You know what
It's
Warner did
interesting.
say to me? He said this has been the hardest, litigation and cases he's ever tried, but it's been the most rewarding.
You know,
And
so
I was like,
in April 2025, you did something with Warner. You did a crowd questioning instead of crowdfunding. And he said he had so much fun and he loved it. And I think that's something that we may want to pursue, having lawyers do like crowd questioning.
yeah, that's the one I was talking about, that he woke up to 19 pages of questions. Everybody was emailing me, DMing, Facebook messaging, text messaging, and we're just gathering all these questions. And I was typing as fast as I could all night long. And
what is crowd questioning? What does that exactly
people
entail?
want to know.
He said, I have a text from him still saying, it was so much fun. The people want to do something. That's what he wrote.
Well, let's use that as a model. I mean, what a tribute to Warner. Let's use that as a model and drive it forward, because it goes also back to getting people invested in the outcome. And Brooke, you asked the question even before we came on the air, how do we take our government back? And the answer is everybody getting involved, personally involved, whether that's the school board, the city council, the county. Getting your sheriff elected is the single most important thing you can do, because they're the chief law enforcement officer of all the lands.
They have an
And
incredible power that most people
Incredible.
don't understand.
Yeah.
Exactly. And there is no law without law enforcement. That's the key. And all law enforcement, believe it or not, is a local function. The feds stole it. And we can stop that. We can change it around. But I love the idea of the engagement, because people have to get invested. Invested means showing up. Invested means asking the questions because you're curious and doing something about it. So, thank you for being here and putting this tribute together. It is not by any means comprehensive enough to celebrate Warner and his life and what it is that he's done to make a difference in this world. I hope it's inspiring to others watching this that will share this as perhaps an example of what we should all be doing, how we should live our lives to the fullest. Red line, in the words of you, Brad, because the reality is this: life is terminal. Life is hazardous to your health. So you might as well go all in. Guys, thanks for being.
Can I end us on a funny?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes,
we
Take
were
us out.
one of the things we've been kind of toying around with was an idea of like a COVID awards ceremony, and one of the things I said, Warner, you've already won something for it if we do it. He goes, what is it? And I said, it is the let's see if I can.
I think I have it if you don't.
Yeah, do you have it? It won't let me share it. Is essentially the Don Quixote Award.
Yeah. I just had the name. I didn't have the picture yet.
And he loved it so much. Jamie, I'll text it to you so you can show it. He actually AI generated several versions for us to choose from.
Oh wow!
And this was the one I think he liked the best. But
fighting windmills. We keep fighting
we
windmills.
have to put like his face on the horseman though, with the little gap in his teeth, grinning really big. But yeah, that was he really loved that award. He's like, and I was even talking to someone Friday about trying to get that 3D printed for him. So it'll have to be posthumous, but I just texted it to you too, Jamie, if you want to pull that up.
Yeah, put it up and we'll
I'm
land
trying.
on that.
Not easy.
What were we going to call it? The Truthies Awards or something?
Yeah, that's something like that. So whatever can drive the mainstream media most rabid would be the best.
Well, I liked what
I think they've already won that. They're already most rabid. So
Well, that's the truth. I loved the crushing the mic. That's a new standard that I think President Trump set. He's not dropping it; he's crushing it.
that was like a Seinfeld episode when he's like, when iPhones came out, he's like, "What did you do? Just press the button really hard." I mean, just like you can't even drop the phone. So.
You can be able to do it, Jamie, because we're out of time.
No, I think I'll put in the show notes for everyone, so they'll have to all go.
All right.
Okay,
Put it in later. All right,
That-
guys.
All right.
Thanks for being here, everybody. God bless you
Everybody.
all.
You
And
too,
for
guys.
everybody watching, please share this around. The least we can do to honor Warner and everybody else's efforts because they're represented. Thanks for being here, everybody. God bless.
Everybody.
God
Bye,
bless
guys.
Warner. God bless you. Bye-bye.